එදිනෙදා ඔබේ මුළු සිරුරටම රැකවරණයක්. සුදේශී කොඹ සබන්.
ලෙන්ගතුකම වැඩි කරගන්න ලව්ජු රුපියල් 50 අඩු කළා.
මාමේ එන්න අපිට එකක් බොමු.
Tonight, time for caution. The need vigilance reiterated as Sri Lanka's COVID-19 recovery rate jumps to its highest level of 41% and civilian life returns to normal. Positive moves. The European Commission announces delisting of Sri Lanka from its money laundering grey list.
These are Bosnia-Herzegovina, Guyana, Laos, Ethiopia, Sri Lanka and Tunisia.
Taking to the skies, Sri Lankan Airlines announces resumption of limited flights for eligible travellers. Hidden threat. Experts warn of a looming calamity as the monsoon nears and dengue cases rise to 100 in 9 days. All this and much more coming up on this Tuesday, the 12th of May 2020.
SMS කර රුපියල් මිලියන 3ක මුල්තැන්ගේ උපකරණ දිනාගෙන අවුරුද්දෙම කුස්සිය ටයිම් සේව් කරගන්න.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
A very good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Shanella Fernando. In your top stories for tonight, the European Commission has struck Sri Lanka off its list of countries that have previously exhibited money laundering and terrorism financing deficiencies following significant action taken by the country with regards to a time-bound action plan for delisting. Sri Lanka was among 6 countries delisted while a further 12 countries were added to the list, which comes into effect from October this year, with companies in any of the listed states banned from receiving new EU funding.
The European Commission has commenced steps to delist Sri Lanka from its grey list of high-risk third countries that exhibited strategic deficiencies in anti-money laundering and countering terrorism financing. The list was published on the 7th of this month as part of the Commission's comprehensive plan to further strengthen the EU's fight against money laundering and terrorist financing. The European Commission is considering creating a new authority to police financial crime and monitor banks more strictly. The Commission has published an ambitious multifaceted action plan that sets out concrete measures it will take in the next 12 months to better enforce, supervise and coordinate its efforts aimed at shutting down any remaining loopholes and remove weak links in its own rules. European Commission Vice President Valdis Dombrovskis announced the removal of 6 countries from the list, saying that they had made significant progress.
Given the progress made by 6 countries, we have removed them from our list. These are Bosnia-Herzegovina, Guyana, Laos, Ethiopia, Sri Lanka and Tunisia. At the same time, we are adding 12 countries to our list that the Financial Action Task Force found to have weak systems, namely the Bahamas, Barbados, Botswana, Cambodia, Ghana, Jamaica, Mauritius, Mongolia, Myanmar, Nicaragua, Panama and Zimbabwe.
The revised list is set to take effect from October, and companies in any of the listed states are banned from receiving new EU funding. Sri Lanka was listed as a high-risk third country by the EU in February 2018, subsequent to Sri Lanka being identified by the Financial Action Task Force as a jurisdiction with strategic deficiencies in its compliance document in October 2017. Upon listing, a time-bound action plan to address the strategic deficiencies identified was assigned to Sri Lanka. Since the listing by the FATF, the Financial Intelligence Unit, together with other stakeholders, had taken a series of effective and tangible steps to implement the FATF action plan well within the given time frame, and accordingly, the FATF delisted Sri Lanka from its compliance document at its plenary sessions held during 13th to 18th October 2019 in Paris. The revised list of EU high-risk third countries, together with an action plan for comprehensive policy on preventing money laundering and terrorist financing, will be forwarded to the EU Council and Parliament for adoption.
As the world confronts the coronavirus pandemic, several nations in Asia, including Sri Lanka, have been hailed for curbing the spread within their borders. The recovery rate in the country and the slowing down in number of positive cases speaks volumes about the country's COVID-19 response mission. With more recovered patients heading home today, Sri Lanka saw a recovery rate above 40%, the highest so far. But in the face of the coronavirus, victory can also be elusive or fleeting. Therefore, Director General of Health Services Dr. Anil Jasinghe called for the continuation of measures put in place to prevent a possible spread within the country. Sri Lanka yesterday recorded 6 COVID-19 patients, the lowest figure so far in 21 days. The 6 patients are all Navy personnel attached to the Välisaari Naval Base and had undergone PCR tests at the Karapitiya Teaching Hospital.
අපිට තියෙන අභියෝගය අපේ මේ අඩු වුණත් ලෝකයේ ගත්තාම ලෝකයේ ප්‍රස්ථාරය තවම යන්නේ ඉහළට. ඒ නිසා මේ COVID-19 විස බීජය කියන එක ලෝකයේ තත්ත්වය ගත්තාම පහළට වැටිලා නැහැ. ඒ වගේම අපේ රට තාම බාහිරට වහලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒ නිසා ඉදිරියේදී අපිට තියෙන අභියෝග අදට වැඩි වෙනවා කියලා පැහැදිලිවම කියන්න පුළුවන්. නමුත් ඒකම දැන් උනත් අපි අභ්‍යන්තරයේ මේ වෛරසය කොහේ හරි තියෙනවා නම් පැතිරීම වැළැක්වීම සඳහා කරගෙන යන ක්‍රියාමාර්ග ඒ ආකාරයටම කරගෙන යා යුතුයි.
Health authorities have placed the total number of active coronavirus patients in the country at 504, out of which are 478 naval personnel and their close associates. According to the epidemiology unit, naval personnel account for 444 out of this figure. On the brighter side, the unit adds that with the addition of 23 more recoveries since yesterday, the overall figure has risen to 366, giving Sri Lanka's recovery rate a boost to 41%, the highest recorded so far. 14 among yesterday's recoveries are reportedly naval personnel. To date, 52 naval personnel have recovered from the deadly virus. In the meantime, all 7 members of the family that arrived from Italy recently have tested positive for COVID-19. However, all family members recovered and have been discharged, with the last patient returning home from the National Institute of Infectious Diseases yesterday. Health authorities have instructed the patient to follow a 14-day self-quarantine process. Meanwhile, only 151 patients have been reported in the last week, the 8th since the detection of the first COVID-19 case on the 11th of March. In contrast, just 6 days into week 9, a total of 101 new patients have been detected. With that, biological samples of 60 police officers and 46 employees of the Colombo dockyard were obtained for PCR testing at the Police Field Force headquarters in Timbirikasaya. Samples were also obtained from 36 residents of Mattakulia who were being quarantined at a hotel in Hangvella. Further, upon completion of the quarantine process, 32 persons left the quarantine centre at the army-operated Pampemadu camp in Vaunia today. Meanwhile, 50 students who arrived from Bangladesh left the quarantine centre in Punani after successfully completing their stay. In the meantime, 70 family members of Navy personnel stationed at the Välisaari Naval Base returned home today after completing their quarantine at the Navy-run quarantine centre in Mihintale. Another 15 family members of naval personnel quarantined at the Habaraduwa quarantine centre also headed home today. Meanwhile, a total of 329 persons from Chennai, India, who were unable to return to Sri Lanka arrived back in the country today. According to our airport correspondent, expectant mothers were also among the returnees.
Escalators to your flight.
They were directed to quarantine centres located in Punani and Vaskaduwa.
කොරෝනා වෛරසය පැතිරීම වළක්වන්න සබන් යොදා දෑත් සෝදන්න.
The employees in the Colombo and Kampala districts resumed commutes to work for the second day while the curfew remains in force. However, Head of Traffic Police DIG Ajit Rohana says that the authorities are not satisfied in the manner that people have behaved after the regulations were relaxed. He also stated that strict rules hereafter will be applicable on people violating these regulations.
The resumption of a semblance of normalcy to civilian life by reopening economic activities in the districts of Colombo and Gampa as the curfew remains in force continued for the second day. Employees residing outside of the Colombo district were transported to their workplaces in the city via railway services from Kandy, Avis Savella, Mahava, Chilao and Beliata. Strict safety measures were implemented at embarkation, including temperature tests carried out on the platforms. Furthermore, temperature tests on passengers exiting the Fort railway station were also carried out. Meanwhile, the Railways Department has stated that 2,737 employees belonging to both private and public sector organizations have registered for the railway service, with more than 1,300 using the service today. Meanwhile, buses belonging to the Sri Lanka Transport Board were also deployed in Colombo and Gampa districts for staff transport. However, the employees were only allowed to board buses after their identity cards and company travel documentation were thoroughly checked. However, despite these precautions, some buses were seen transporting passengers in complete contravention of the safety protocols. As reported yesterday as well, some passengers faced difficulties in reporting to work due to a lack of buses on certain routes. Meanwhile, some organizations provided their staff with office transport, foreseeing such delays. However, the police have expressed concerns about the number of staff being transported in such vehicles by companies. In the meantime, Minister of Transport Mahinda Amaravira chaired a meeting with officials of the transportation sector.
හෙට ඉඳලා අපිට සීට් ගාන්ට ගෙනියන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ වගේම දිස්ත්‍රික් මට්ටම තමයි තවමත් ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න මේ අවශ්‍ය කියලා කිව්වේ. ඊට එහා යන්න එපා කියන එක කිව්වා. ඒ වගේම දුම්රියේ දැනට යන අර බුකින් සිස්ටම් එක වෙනුවට මුදල් ගෙවල යන්න අවස්ථාව දෙන්න කියන එක පිළිබඳව කරපු ඉල්ලීමට එකඟතාවය තියෙනවා.
අමුතුම දැන් අර කිව්වේ බස් එකේ සීට් ගන්නට යන්න පුළුවන් කියලා කිව්ව එකේ දැන් කොළඹ ගම්පහ ඇතුළුව හෙට ඉඳලා පුළුවන්ද?
නෑ මේ ඇඳිරි නීතිය බලපැවැත්වෙන ප්‍රදේශවල බෑ.
The Ministry of Transport has stated that transportation of passengers according to seat numbers on trains as well will be allowed for the 23 districts that have no curfew in place. In addition, the highest priority is to be given to employees reporting to work in both the public and private sectors. The ministry also announced that railway tickets will be issued to passengers without season tickets. However, it has been made mandatory for service IDs to be checked before issuing tickets. In the meantime, the temperatures of three-wheeler operators entering Colombo were checked by personnel of the Army's Rapid Deployment Unit. Meanwhile, many shops including wholesale and retail stores and beauty parlors were seen open today. However, health and safety inspections were carried out on the shops by the police. Following reports of eateries in the Hatton area being open for business, police personnel enforced a mass shutdown of such shops today. At a time the government has advised all weekly and day fairs open, the police in Hemmatagama intervened and prevented the opening of a weekly fair in the area. According to the NIC number system introduced by the government, people with a number 3 or 4 as the last digit of their national identity documents were permitted to move about and restock their essential supplies today. Accordingly, those with the number 5 or 6 as the last digit in their identity cards will be allowed to move about tomorrow. However, the police say that people will not be permitted to move about the cities on non-essential travel using their personal vehicles. Meanwhile, DIG Ajit Rohana stated that the reason for stricter regulations in the Colombo and Gampaha districts was the non-observance of safety precautions by the district's residents.
අපි දැනුම් දීලා අපි හිතපු තරමටම ජනතාවගේ හැසිරීම සතුටුදායක නැති බව තමයි කනගාටුවෙන් කියන්න ඕනේ. මොකද අපි දැක්කා සමහර අවස්ථාවල කිසිම ආකාරයක නිරෝධායන රීතියකට ගරු කරන්නේ නැතුව හැසිරෙන ආකාරය දුරස්ථභාවය කියන කාරණේ අමතක කරලා. දෙවෙනි එක තමයි වාහන. අත්‍යවශ්‍ය සේවා සහ රැකියාවට එන අයරින්ද වෙන කාටවත් වාහන පාවිච්චි කරන්න බෑ. පාවිච්චි කරනවා නම් ඒගොල්ලෝ බලපත්‍රයක් ගන්න ඕනේ. මාර්ග බාධක බොහොමයක් ඉවත් කළා මේ මාර්ගයේ තදබදය නවත්තන්න. නමුත් ඊයේ විශාල වශයෙන් මේ ත්‍රිරෝද රථ පුද්ගලික වාහන ගමනාගමනය දක්නට ලැබුණා. ඒ නිසා අද මේ ගැන තදින් ක්‍රියා කරනවා. අද අපි සිවිල් ඇඳුමින් නිලධාරීන් රාශියක් යොදලා තියෙනවා මේ ගැන හොයන්න.
විවෘත කිරීමත් සමග නැවත යම් රැල්ලක් ඇතිවිය හැකි බව අප ප්‍රකාශ කරා. ඒක තමයි මේ රටවලවත් සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ. මේක වළක්වාගත හැකි එකම ක්‍රමය තමයි රට විවෘත කරන අතරේ සමාජ දුරස්ථභාවය, පෞද්ගලික ස්වස්ථතාවය ඇතුළු කාරණා දිගින් දිගට පවත්වාගෙන යාම.
With the country's entire focus on the COVID-19 pandemic, the National Dengue Eradication Movement has warned of major dengue risks in 11 districts as the country prepares to head into the southwest monsoon season. The movement has warned of a significant rise in cases, highlighted by the fact that already 100 cases have been reported in the first 9 days of May, compared to 413 cases in the month of April alone. So far, 18,835 dengue cases have been detected since the beginning of the year.
The National Dengue Eradication Movement has highlighted a list of 11 districts which are at a risk of major dengue fever outbreaks, with heavy rains predicted in the coming months. These high-risk districts include Colombo, Gampaha, Kalutara, Kandy, Galle, Jaffna, Batticaloa, Trincomalee, Ratnapura, Kegol and Ampara, where the Culmine area has been singled out. So far, a staggering 18,835 dengue cases have been detected during the first 4 months of this year, a clear warning of the risk of insufficient attention by officials and members of the public in the face of the COVID-19 pandemic. The organization has reported a rise of 100 cases in the first 9 days of the month of May, compared to 413 cases detected in the entire month of April. Health officials have pointed out that in the recent past, there was a greater rise in dengue infections in urbanized and congested areas, with the highest number of cases reported in the May to July mid-year period during the southwest monsoon, and again at the end of the year from October to January during the northeast monsoon season. Research scientists have warned that dengue larvae has been found mostly around fishing boats and construction sites, leading to Health Minister Pavitra Vanyarachi instructing Health Ministry officials to carry out clearing operations at such sites.
In response to the legality of the curfew imposed by the government being challenged by several factions, the Gampaha Magistrate Court ruled that the curfew imposed under quarantine regulations to curb the spread of coronavirus is in fact legal. This ruling was given during when a case was heard with regard to the opening of a pharmacy in Gampaha during curfew hours at the Gampaha Magistrates Court yesterday.
ගම්පා පොලිස් වසමේ ඖෂධ හලක් විවෘතව තබනවා ඇඳිරි නීතිය ක්‍රියාත්මක වන අවස්ථාවක. ඇඳිරි නීතිය උල්ලංඝනය කිරීම ඇතුළු තවත් වැරදි කිහිපයක් සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඒ ඖෂධ හල් හිමියා අත්අඩංගුවට පත් වෙනවා. ගරු අධිකරණයේ ඉදිරියේදී මේ ඇඳිරි නීතිය සම්බන්ධයෙන් මූලික විරෝධතාවයක් ඉදිරිපත් වෙනවා. ඉන් අනතුරුව මේ නිරෝධායන ඇඳිරි නීතිය සම්බන්ධයෙන් ගම්පහ ප්‍රධාන මහේස්ත්‍රාත් මංජුල කරුණාරත්න මැතිතුමා විසින් ලබා දෙනවා තා ඓතිහාසික වූ නියෝගයක්. ගරු අධිකරණය පැහැදිලිව සඳහන් කරනවා 2020 මාර්තු 18 වෙනිදා ඉඳලා මේ දක්වාම පනවා ඇති මේ නිරෝධායන ඇඳිරි නීතිය සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම නීත්‍යානුකූල බව.
යම් පිරිස් විසින් කිව්වා මේ ඇඳිරි නීතිය නීත්‍යානුකූල නැහැ කියලා. මේ මාස දෙක ඇතුළත දිගින් දිගටම විවිධ අදහස් පළ කරපු බොහෝ පිරිස් වලට ඊයේ පිළිතුරු ලැබුණා ගම්පහ මහේත්‍රාත් අධිකරණය මගින් ලබා දෙනේ නඩු තීන්දුවෙන්.
With the announcement of the final date for postal votes by the Election Commission, more petitions were filed in the Supreme Court today. While some challenged other petitions filed seeking to declare the parliamentary dissolution and the election illegal, others sought to challenge the legitimacy of the Samagi Janabala Vegaya.
Officials of the Election Commission hosted a meeting with coalition party secretaries and representatives at 2:30 p.m. today. Earlier, the Election Commission had announced that postal vote applications for the general election must be submitted before the 14th of this month. Accordingly, officials certifying the applications will be expected to hand them over to the District Secretariat, District Elections Office or the Election Secretariat in Rajagiriya. Meanwhile, another interim petition was filed in the Supreme Court today, stating that the Gazette notification for the dissolution of Parliament and the Gazette notifications issued by the election commissions to hold the general election on June 20th are legal, and call for the court to reject the fundamental rights petitions filed challenging the Gazettes. Another petition has been filed with the Supreme Court requesting the Election Commission to issue a writ order to quash the nomination papers submitted by the Samagi Janabalawegaya, led by Sajid Premadasa. The petition has been filed by Oshala Herath, who is to contest the forthcoming general election as a candidate representing the United National Party from the Colombo district. The petitioner points out that the party has handed over nominations for the upcoming general election as the Ape Jatika Peramuna. The petitioner also points out that the appointment of Ranjit Madhuba Bandara as the General Secretary of the Samagi Janabalawegaya has not been approved by the Working Committee of the party. The petitioner has also requested the court to rule that the Election Commission has no authority to accept nominations submitted by Ranjit Madhuba Bandara as the Secretary General of the Samagi Janabalawegaya. Leader of the Samagi Janabalawegaya, Sajid Premadasa, General Secretary Ranjit Madhuba Bandara, Chairman of the Ape Jatika Peramuna, Senaka Haripriya De Silva, and Secretary Diana Gamage have been named as respondents of the petition. The petitioner's lawyers have filed a motion in the Supreme Court asking that the petition be called on either the 18th, the 22nd or 28th of May.
More news on the other side of this break. Stay tuned.
නිෂ්පාදිත දිනය කවදත් අලුත් වටවල තේ අරගන්න.
වටවල තේ ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ තේ එක.
Welcome back. In more news, the Defence Ministry has identified a new type of scam involving the extortion of money from individuals in exchange for removal of names from ongoing criminal probes, and also includes the Easter Sunday attack investigations. The fraudsters are believed to be demanding payments somewhere between 25 to 50,000 rupees for these purposes, with fund transfers being carried out using mobile digital e-wallet systems. Defence Secretary Major General Kamal Gunaratne has urged the public to reach out to the police if approached by these fraudsters.
The Defence Ministry has warned the public to beware of an ongoing scam using mobile-based digital e-wallet cash transfer systems to hold unsuspecting individuals to ransom. It was revealed that an organised group is operating such a scam by urging them to pay money for their names to be taken out of ongoing criminal investigations. The scam was brought to the attention of Defence Secretary Major General Kamal Gunaratne by the police at a recent meeting held with top defence officials at the ministry. According to police, the fraudsters had made phone calls to individuals, threatening and demanding payments between 25 to 50,000 rupees using the mobile cash transferring systems. The Defence Secretary stated that investigations into such incidents, tantamount to extortion, are ongoing, but urged the public to be more mindful about these scams. He added that some individuals had been urged to pay Rs 25,000 to fraudsters to get their names taken out from ongoing inquiries into the Easter Sunday attacks. The Defence Secretary added that instructions have been issued to the police to also investigate scams supposedly operating from inside prisons, where individuals impersonating police officials have been extorting money from family members of suspects in remand prison. The Defence Ministry has requested the public to reach out to the nearest police station or contact the 119 hotline if approached by such fraudsters.
The Constitutional Council, chaired by Speaker Karu Jayasuriya, met yesterday to discuss the progress of the country's independent commissions. At the discussions, the issue of delays in extending letters of appointment to 200 investigative officers of the commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption was ordered to be forwarded to the Treasury for resolution.
The Constitutional Council meeting was held yesterday at the Speaker's official residence, chaired by Council Chairman Karu Jayasuriya. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa and former opposition leader Sajid Premadasa, along with former members of Parliament R. Sambandhan, Mahinda Samarasinghe, Bimal Ratnayaka and Thalata Atukorala were also present. In addition, civil society representatives Javed Yusuf and Naganathan Selvakumaran, Secretary General of the Constitutional Council and Acting Secretary General to the Parliament Dhammika Dasanayaka, as well as the Deputy Secretary General of Parliament Neil Iddavala were also in attendance. At the meeting, Chairman Karu Jayasuriya briefed its members on the progress of independent commissions. The Council also discussed delays in extending letters of appointment to 200 investigative officers for the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption who passed competitive examinations and interviews held in 2018. The Council noted that such delays would hinder the work of the Commission. Accordingly, the Council instructed the Acting Secretary-General of the Council, Dhammika Dasanayaka, to discuss the issue with the Treasury on the matter while drawing the attention of Prime Minister and Finance Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. The Council was also of the opinion that the chairperson of the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption and the Police Commission should discuss and bring to a conclusion matters concerning transfers of police officers affiliated to the Bribery Commission. Meanwhile, the progress achieved by the Human Rights Commission, the Public Service Commission and Finance Commission was also discussed at the meeting. The Council's attention was also drawn to difficulties faced by provincial councils in carrying out their day-to-day activities due to approved provisions not being made available to them by the Finance Commission. Further, the Council members expressed their fullest confidence in the Election Commission carrying out its duties in the face of current challenges.
Sri Lankan Airlines is now offering services to passengers eligible to travel under respective country travel advisories to London, Tokyo, Melbourne and Hong Kong. Accordingly, passengers who wish to travel to these destinations or beyond can now purchase their tickets through Sri Lankan offices or through travel agents, the airline said. Currently, most governments have been allowing stranded citizens to return to their countries subject to the validity of their travel documentation and quarantine periods. The statement from the airline reminded passengers to ensure their prior eligibility to enter these destinations is confirmed depending on the restrictions imposed by regulatory authorities. Passengers are also requested to check with their respective border controls or immigration authorities before purchasing tickets. In our business news, Sri Lankan stocks closed sharply lower today, weighed by consumer discretionary and industrial stocks as investors return to stock markets this week after a long shutdown imposed to curb the spread of coronavirus. Trading at the Colombo Stock Exchange, however, was halted today as well after the S&P SL20 index fell 5% about 10 minutes of trading. After activity resumed, the trading volume on the all share price index stood at 193.4 million rupees, higher than yesterday's 4.41 million rupees. The benchmark stock index closed down 3.3% at 4,247.95.
We saw heavy selling pressure in the market continuing from yesterday. Today is the second day after the 7-week-long market closure. Within the first 10 minutes, the S&P SL20 index crossed the 5% mark downwards, which triggered a circuit breaker for a market halt. So with that, we had a 30-minute market halt. Afterwards, the market restarted and there was a slight recovery in the market. We saw some buying interest coming back into the market and blue chip counters slowly moving up the value. However, overall market ended down for the day. The decline was over 3% in the S&P SL20. Today we saw the turnover levels crossing the 3 billion mark with one major transaction in Wattavala plantations, which saw about 150 million shares changing hands at 20 rupees. In addition to that, we saw a lot of trading taking place in blue chip counters. So heavy selling pressure, mostly in John Case Holdings, and all the banks across the board saw significant amount of selling pressure.
We'll return after this short commercial break. Don't go away. With that, we wrap up tonight's edition of First at 9. Thank you for joining. I'm Shanella Fernando.